drawn if it's a voluntary process.
That's something else.
No, but that's the point
else.
I'm making. The point I'm making is my opposition, so to speak, at that time, in the way in which we understood the Commission's case, was on the issue of the compelled examination. What I'm saying in response to this issue as a continuation of what just happened between yourself, Chair Commissioner Baloy, and myself as well, is that if the voluntary examination is the mechanism, with the interposition of Mr. Carrim's own doctor or not, then that would be fine, because that also means that no adverse inference can be drawn if he declines to not participate in that. That's where we landed last time.
No, you never. I accept that today you have made the point that in principle there is no objection to this happening, but that's subject to instructions being, or rather your instructing attorney, finding out what the position will be in terms of an acceptance or otherwise of the assessment. You are saying something like that for the first time now. On the previous occasion, you strongly argued against it, making the point that we simply do not have the power. And you distinguish the fact that we do not have the power by making reference to the power that a high court has in civil proceedings in terms of the rules. At no stage did you ever get to a point that said, no, we are amenable to we are voluntarily amenable to an assessment by another doctor. You never got to that point.
Because the debate didn't get that far, with due respect. Where we ended, and we were having a general conversation, is that I ultimately accepted that if it were a voluntary process and that no adverse inference could be drawn as to the participation in that voluntary process, but that's where we left it.
But Mr. Premier, did you, because more than one letter, in fact, at least two that I remember from reading these papers for this postponement application, more than one letter was written to Mr. Carrim's attorneys requesting him to avail himself for an assessment by an independent doctor. Initially, there was no response. And was there a response the second time around? I'm not sure. But here, in open session in this commission, what we got was the vehement argument by you against that as a possibility. That's all that we know. So for you to suggest that, however, there could have been the possibility of a voluntarily agreed to assessment comes as a complete surprise to me, because the attitude throughout, especially in the face of the two letters that were specifically asking for this assessment, what you say now simply does not accord with that history. That history culminating in your argument before us here. If Mr. Carrim was prepared at all to subject himself to the assessment, we should by now have received something from him or his attorneys saying that here I am willing to subject myself to that assessment that the Commission's attorneys have asked for more than once. So I don't understand your argument. Insofar as it relates to the possibility of Mr. Carrim subjecting himself to the assessment voluntarily. I do not understand that part of your, not in the face of the history I'm referring to.
No, I accept that, and I'm not going to try and relitigate that history now. I think I'm going to go and read the transcript, because at this stage I'm going to respectfully say recollections may vary, and then I can come back to you and reply and clarify that as needed, because I'm as I say, I remember the debate having happened slightly differently, and it was on the characterization issue about voluntary or compelled, and it didn't go beyond specifics about what if it's voluntary, then what is the instruction, in the way that it was put to me today. And in light of the new evidence that has come about less intrusive means, that's why I gave an in-principle answer subject to my instructions. But I'll read the transcript and I will come back, and if I'm wrong about that, then obviously I will be wrong and I will apologize to the Commission accordingly. But if I can move on.
Just to protect myself from a full-on egg on my face, let me say I'm also only human and fallible, so my memory may also be inaccurate. Please continue.
Yeah, well, that's why they have appeal courts. They can correct the lower court judge's memory. But no, Judge, thank you.